I'm unwell. What? This makes no sense. It is super gloomy and rainy out today, which just makes me want to stay in bed, but I have a hot yoga class booked, so let's get ready. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another vlog. I'm very excited for today's video because I think this is going to be a very cozy vlog. Basically, my mom and I are heading out and gonna stay at a cottage for a few days. I kind of have a few goals going into it. Number one, I would love to use this as an opportunity to do a digital detox, stay off my phone as much as possible. I might even delete social media from my phone because we're only going there for 3 days. Today's Monday and we're coming back, I guess 3.5, because we're coming back Thursday afternoon. I can definitely go 3 days without scrolling. I might keep YouTube because I have been loving watching YouTube, but I just don't want to scroll. It's pretty much my objective. Goal number 2 is to finally catch up on all the editing I've been progressively working on. I honestly feel like a broken record at this point because I feel like in every single vlog I'm talking about how much editing I have to catch up on, and it's pretty much all I've been doing. I'm hoping that without social media to distract me, this can be like a good way for me to just really get in the zone and focus. And then goal number 3 is probably the one I'm most excited for, is to read, and then read some more. I am going to be bringing like so many books, more than I can possibly read in the next 3 days, but I just want to get back into reading. I've been watching some reading vlogs and I feel like it's getting me excited about it, and I am very much behind on my Goodreads reading goal of wanting to read 40 books, so I'm hoping I can make a little bit of progress towards that, finish the book I'm currently in the middle of, and hopefully read 1 or 2 others. Hopefully this is going to be a very fun and cozy laid-back vlog. It's probably going to be part reading vlog, part whatever else I get up to. You are welcome to grab yourself a fun beverage of your choice, and without further ado, let's get into it. I'm jumping in to say a quick word about the sponsor of today's video, which is Brevo. If you have a small business, side hustle, or a newsletter, then you know that your email list, kind of like a TBR pile, can be easy to keep putting off, but Brevo makes marketing and CRM much less complicated and time-consuming. It's an all-in-one marketing platform that streamlines email marketing and automation for all business owners. So instead of jumping between 5 different apps, you can set up your campaign, automate your follow-ups, and actually focus on building meaningful customer relationships without it taking up your entire week. Combining automations, AI, CRM, and marketing, Brevo has all the tools you need in one dashboard. With Brevo, you can start automating your marketing campaigns across emails, texts, and WhatsApp to build tailored messages your audience will actually care about. Right now, they're offering 50% off starter and standard plans for the first 3 months with my code Clarice, or you can also head over to the link in my description to redeem that. Just like in this video, I will stop putting off my TBR pile. You can also stop putting off email marketing with Brevo, so make sure to check them out. And a big thank you again to Brevo for sponsoring this part of the vlog. Hello everyone, as you can see, we have made it. It's actually quite a bit later now. It's 3 p.m. because we also stopped to run some errands on the way, and then I just had lunch. But I just got settled into the room where I'll be staying for the next few days. It's honestly so pretty here. I feel like I'm in a magazine, and I think this is going to be a very cozy reading vlog. But before that, there are a few things I want to get to. First order of business is to delete social media from my phone. I don't have TikTok, so for me, the main culprit has been Instagram. I feel like it is just a vortex where all of my free time ends up going. The algorithm, it just knows me so well. Instagram has been deleted, and now it is time I do the same for YouTube, which I'm gonna be so honest, I probably will still end up watching some YouTube vlogs on my iPad because that's like my guilty pleasure. I just love my little lifestyle vlogs and my reading vlogs. They make me very happy and I don't want to give those up. But I feel like at least not having the app on my phone will make me less likely to go on there for scrolling or just looking at shorts to waste time. YouTube and Instagram have officially both been deleted from my phone. Goodbye. I will no longer be needing it. Now that my phone is hopefully no longer going to be an issue, I thought I would show you guys the books that are on my TBR. I definitely brought way too many. I'm not going to read all of these in just 3 days, but a girl likes to have options. But the first one I'm going to be starting with, I'm actually already in the middle of, and that is The Bright Years. If you've been watching my vlogs recently, you're probably sick of seeing this book cover, although it is very cute, but I've just been reading this book for like over a month now. This is literary fiction, and I guess if I had to sum it up, I would say it's a portrait of this family's history. In the first part of the book, we're following Lillian and Ryan and the beginning of their marriage and kind of already seeing how their family's history and their past is affecting their relationship and how that goes on to be kind of inherited eventually down the line. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a sad book. There's also happy moments, but it definitely deals with a lot of more serious topics, including grief, loss, and addiction. But I really like the writing style of the author. I think it's all written about very beautifully. And then I rented 3 other books from the library, and they're all very different, so I think it's going to depend on what mood I'm in once I finish this. First, we've got The Reappearance of Rachel Price, which is from Ollie Jackson, the same author that wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I believe this is another kind of YA murder mystery, although I will say I haven't looked into the plot too much, but if I just base myself off of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I expect this to be very bingeable. Switching tones completely, I also brought Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. As you can tell by the cover, this is a romance book. I've only ever read Just for the Summer by the same author, but I actually really like that book. I wasn't expecting to like it so much, but I love when romance books have more depth than just purely the romance and the relationship between the two main characters. So anyways, basing myself off of Just for the Summer and knowing that these romances are usually a little bit more layered and complex, I'm actually kind of scared because I've heard this is really sad, but also looking forward to it. And then last but certainly not least, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I believe this is kind of a historical fiction, but mixing it with elements of magical realism because our main character makes a trade to live forever, but she's not able to be remembered by anyone she meets, which is a very intriguing premise, and I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. But I guess we will see what book I end up reading because we definitely have quite a few options. That being said, I'm gonna start with The Bright Years and finishing this one. I'm really excited to just sit down and get to it. It's been like an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours. I've just been sitting here reading, and it feels so good getting to read uninterrupted because I feel like I can really get into the story. So I cannot wait to see how everything is wrapped up in the final chapters because so far it's just been so beautiful, but bittersweet and heartbreaking, but also heartwarming at the same time. There's something about characters aging in books and like following them through different stages of their lives that just hits me right here. I'm unwell. I need some time to process this, but wow. I will be back. Good morning, everyone. It is the next morning. It is currently 8:50 and my mom and I are about to head out to do a short hike. I don't know why I woke up so tired this morning, hence why I am drinking a coffee. If you know me, you know I am a matcha girl through and through, but desperate times call for coffee. In my case, I just needed something to wake up. And usually my first instinct to help me wake up when I feel so tired and still half asleep is to go on my phone and scroll, but obviously that was not possible this morning. There have been a few times so far over the past like 24 hours where I have definitely reached for Instagram or for YouTube and my thumb is like hovering over an empty spot on my screen. But it's a good wake-up call to remind me that I should be doing something else. I should be enjoying the present moment. I should be reading or doing literally anything other than scrolling. I did end up finishing The Bright Years yesterday, as you guys saw, and this was a very emotional book, which I usually don't tend to tear up or really have that many big reactions when reading, but I truly felt so connected to the characters and the story. I decided to write a short little review on Goodreads because I feel like sometimes it's nice to go back and look at what my thoughts were on a certain book. Plus, I feel like it's a good way for me to practice putting into words what I like or didn't like about a book. I ended up rating this 4.5 stars, so clearly I loved it. Also, I learned that this is a debut novel and that this is the author's first book, which is wild to me because it is truly so well written. I think what I like the most about this book and my biggest takeaway is how compassionate and empathetic the writing felt. Even though this book deals with a lot of heavier, more difficult topics, including loss, alcoholism, addiction, abuse, and just like having to carry that in your family history, I feel like it takes into account all of the nuances and the complexities of learning to forgive someone. And I also specifically loved that this was told through multiple decades. The chapters are all really short and the beginning of the story starts in 1958, but then I think it ends in like 2019, I believe. Yeah. So obviously you're traveling through time with the family, which I think really added and contributed to how I was able to connect with the characters. I highly recommend it if you've been meaning to check it out, especially as a debut novel. This is so impressive. And even though it took me a while to finish it because life got in the way, I feel like once I actually got to sit down and read it, I was unable to put it down. Not in a like thriller, oh my gosh, this is so addictive way, but more so I'm so connected to these characters in the story. I want to continue reading to find out what's going to happen. 4.5 stars, definitely highly rated. It's not a 5 stars for me because I think to me that rating just transcends a whole other level of appreciation. Plus, I think if I could have picked one thing that I would have liked to see done differently is that a lot of the times some very emotional and pivotal moments in the book were written in a way that felt kind of detached, and I think that's completely just a part of the author's writing style. I'm not saying I necessarily didn't like it. I think it was kind of meant to represent the fact that a lot of the times when you're living through really difficult moments and like traumatic things, you're kind of detached from your own body and it's hard for you to really experience that difficult moment like in the present. Anyways, that was probably done with intention. I just think personally as a reader, I felt taken out with the characters a little bit. First book of this video is done and I'm now about to head out on my hike, but as you saw last night, I also started the reappearance of Rachel Price. I'm only 30 pages in, so far too early for me to give you guys a review or thoughts, but I'm gonna head out for my hike and then we can keep reading once I come back. as you can see, I am back from my hike. It was really more of a short walk through the forest, but it was still nice to get outside and stretch my legs a bit, and now we can get back to reading. I just had some lunch and I made myself a matcha, but I think I'm gonna go sit outside and try to read outside a little bit before it starts raining. I'm still only on chapter 4 of this book, but I'm gonna keep reading and I'll check back in when I have some more updates to give you. Update time. It is currently 4:41 p.m. and I have been pretty much sitting here reading most of the afternoon. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's been kind of on and off, but it's been super cozy to read to. And I'm now on chapter 18 of The Reappearance of Rachel Price, so I feel like I've read enough to be able to share my thoughts and opinions so far. Long story short, we are following our main character Belle, who at the age of 2 was the last witness to see her mom before she very mysteriously disappeared. And now 16 years later, we're following her when she's part of a documentary that's being made about the very mysterious case and the story of her mother's disappearance, when all of a sudden, as you can probably guess, her mother, Rachel Price, reappears and the mystery is, so it seems, solved. But Belle is not so easily convinced about the story that her mom has told the police and the press, and she starts digging a little bit deeper and investigating with the documentary crew. And that is kind of the part where I'm at right now, where she's starting to push back and starting to investigate. I will say I'm on page 158 right now, and it does feel like it's taken a while for us to get to this point, and the beginning was kind of slow. I get that we were setting up everything, but I still wish we had jumped into the action a little bit sooner. Or maybe I'm just impatient. I don't know. I have a preference where if I'm not hooked within the first like 50 pages of a book, I feel like suddenly the pacing is off. But again, that might be very subjective. And I still don't feel really hooked yet, but I feel like I'm starting to get there, and I'm holding out hope because having read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, I know that Holly Jackson is really good at writing great plot twists. Another thing that kind of threw me off at the beginning is the whole documentary setup and like the true crime aspect. Obviously, now that we're entering the investigative kind of portion of the book, I feel like it totally makes sense and it definitely adds to the storytelling. But at the beginning, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm studying filmmaking, so I've been behind the scenes of documentary productions, but it just like didn't feel really realistic, or it felt a little bit goofy and definitely unethical at times, the way they were conducting the interviews and whatnot. Like, I get that it's a book, but I was just like, this feels odd. It's also taking a while for Belle, the main character, to grow on me. I feel like now I'm starting to like her a little bit more, but at the beginning she was just, quite frankly, annoying me a little bit. But again, I feel like I'm getting into the story now. It's taken 160 pages for me to get here, but we've arrived. Back to reading I go. everyone, it is the next day and I just made myself a matcha. I've actually mostly been working on my computer all morning. I did manage to catch up on quite a bit of editing, which I'm very happy about, but I'm taking a break from that to hopefully finish this book. I'm currently on chapter 38 on page 304 and I think I have a little bit over 100 pages left. I got ahead and read a bit more last night and then a bit more this morning too, but I think I'm going to finish this book in one stretch. There have been a few plot twists, but to be honest, it hasn't been anything that's shocked me all that much or thrown me off. But I'm expecting more things to happen, obviously, in the last 100 pages of the book because there's still many loose ends that are not tied, many things that have gone unsolved. Got my matcha, got my book, and let's get to reading. It's currently 2 p.m., so we will see how long it takes me to read those last 100 pages. No sense. I feel like maybe we're not making the most educated decisions right now, but okay, I'm gonna be so honest, I don't understand anyone's motivations or what exactly is happening right now, but I guess I just have to keep going. As you guys saw, I finished reading The Reappearance of Rachel Price maybe like 20 minutes ago, so it's still very fresh in my mind. I started drafting a review on Goodreads and I have some thoughts. I think I'm gonna end up rating the book 3.25 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it a lot, and if there's one thing that Holly Jackson does well is she can tie up every loose end so nothing goes unexplained, and that's something that I obviously really appreciate as a reader because no matter how many plot twists there are, in the end everything is explained and there's no room for what ifs. That being said, obviously you guys saw me reacting to the book's ending and it's safe to say that I was definitely very shocked. There were a lot of unexpected twists and turns, but even though everything was explained in the end, I still feel kind of unsatisfied as a reader reaching the end of this book, and I think part of the reason for that is because I had a hard time understanding the characters' motivations and their why. Without spoiling the end of the book or giving anything away, I just think I wish we had a little bit more explanation and backstory as to why the characters acted the way they did. And personally, I feel like that also goes for our main character, Belle. I really wanted to root for her and I kept waiting for the moment when I would really be hooked and connected, but unfortunately, I don't feel like that moment ever really came. She is kind of an unlikable character, I guess you could say. She pushes people away because she cares about them, but obviously as a reader, I'm watching her be really mean and bully the people that she cares about, and I'm just like annoyed. And I didn't really feel like she was like ever mature and really grew from that. It was just kind of accepted as one of her character traits to be unlikable, I suppose. And the more I read the story, the more I kind of wish that it had been told through a first person's perspective instead of being told by an omniscient narrator. And that's not to say that you can't connect with a character even if a story is told in the third person. I just think the book overall, and especially Belle's character, would have benefited a lot from us having an insight into her inner monologue, I guess. I even think just more backstory and more, not necessarily flashbacks, but just like memories of her past growing up without her mom in the shadow of this big mystery would have actually helped me connect with her a lot more, and understanding her childhood growing up with her dad as like her only parent would have also helped me understand their relationship even more. I will say the whole documentary aspect of the story and the fact that they're like televising this reappearance and this big mystery as it's happening definitely ended up adding more of a fun element into the investigation later on. Even though it was a bit out there, not necessarily the most realistic, it was just fun to read about. One more thing is that there is a bit of a secondary plot line with a romance in the book, and I think sometimes that's just like a fun extra element to add on into the story, but in this case I just did not care at all about it. Like anytime I would read a passage about it, my eyes would just skim over and skip to the next part because I just didn't care. I just didn't buy into it. Like I did not connect with it whatsoever. All of this to say, I ended up reading this book in a day and a half. It wasn't necessarily like as unputdownable as I was hoping it would be. I did end up obviously binge reading it for this video, but I don't think it was necessarily keeping me on the edge of my seat every single second. That being said, I will definitely keep reading any other book that Holly Jackson puts out. I think there's something about her plot twists and her mysteries that are just so much fun to solve alongside the characters. We have officially finished book number 2 of this video, which feels great. I think I ended up reading it in a little over 24 hours, which is probably the fastest I've read a book so far this year. I'm gonna take a bit of a break before I get started on book number 3. I want to catch up on some more editing, and to be honest, I think my brain just needs a break from reading for a little bit before I get started with a whole entire new book. Which I will probably end up finishing at home actually, because my mom and I are leaving early tomorrow morning. See you in a bit.
What a night, people dancing in slow motion, blurry eyes. But I've had enough, it's time to say goodbye. 3 a.m. as I'm walking home with a smile. Smoky moon, like a shiver, all the shadows fade away. All your streets are empty, lights begin to sway. 4 a.m. as
Good morning everyone. It is Thursday, and as you saw, I started reading Say You'll Remember Me. My mom and I are heading out in a little bit, so I wanted to share my thoughts before we hit the road. But so far, I just started reading this last night and I'm already on page 134. The chapters are really short, and from the first one, you're dropped in the middle of the action when the two characters first meet, so I really like the pacing of it. It's super fast and easy to get into the story. Our main male character is Xavier. He's a very kind of serious veterinarian. He doesn't really let people in. And Samantha is the complete opposite of that. She's very extroverted, outgoing. I will say from the first time they meet, it's a little bit insta-lovey in the sense that already from just meeting each other one time, they're super attracted to one another. And usually I don't love that in books, but weirdly enough, it didn't bother me that much this time. They go on to have a first date that is super memorable, but when Xavier asks Samantha when he can see her again, she tells him that she actually is moving to go to California to take care of her mother who has dementia. And she basically tells him that he has to move on and forget her, but he simply cannot. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in the story. I've only ever read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, but I think this is a through line in all of her books, is that even though the romances, there's always another component to the story, whether that be family history or like a personal challenge that the characters are going through. And I really like that. I feel like it adds another layer to the story, and it actually allows me to connect with the characters and the romance and the relationship overall a lot more. Because obviously when I'm reading a romance, I want banter, I want good chemistry, but it's also really nice to get to see the characters live a life outside of the relationship, and also getting a glimpse into what it's like actually bringing another person into your life and all of the messy details that it entails. Also, the fact that he's a vet is just really fun. I don't know, I like that about his character. The chapters are so short, so I can definitely see myself flying through this and reading it in no time. I need to finish packing right now because my mom and I are gonna head out and hit the road, so I will probably see you guys once I'm back home. It's been a few days since I've been home. I haven't been able to really give you guys many updates because for the most part I feel like I've been reading here and there when I have a bit of spare time, but somehow I am almost done with this book and I think I have maybe 25 or 30 pages left. I honestly can't remember the last time it's felt like I've flown through a book as fast as this one. I don't know if it's the short chapters or just like the overall pacing of the story, but truly every time I pick it up, even if I stop in the middle of the chapter, it's so easy to get into the story, and next thing I know, I've read 50 pages. So anyways, I have 30 pages left, but I feel like I can finish that in 15 minutes. And even though I'm reaching the end of the story, I honestly don't know where this is gonna go because it feels like the characters are in an impossible situation. The whole premise of the book is that these characters are in a long distance relationship that honestly feels like a dead end because both of them have really important commitments that tie them to Minnesota and California, which are like obviously miles apart. So even now, with so few chapters left to the book, I'm wondering how this is all gonna come together because I want a happy ending, but I genuinely don't know how that's possible. I just finished Say You'll Remember Me, and I can confirm that it did indeed have a happy ending, which looking at the cover, I wouldn't expect anything else, but there was really a point in the story where I had no idea where it was gonna go. Ultimately, I think the ending was very sweet and heartwarming. It was definitely a little bit storybook-y, if that makes sense, but I honestly didn't mind it. I wanted the characters to have a happy ending because they go through a lot, but I feel like the stakes in the story were particularly well established where it didn't feel like the author was just adding things for the plot. It felt like real challenges that real people go through, and that's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm reading a romance book. I tend to disconnect when I'm reading a romance book and it starts feeling too tropey, or it feels like there's nothing going on in the characters' lives outside of the relationship, and that's definitely not what you get in this book at all. Both characters were super layered, super complex, in their relationship feels genuine. The setup and beginning of the relationship was definitely a bit insta-lovey at first, which usually I'm not the biggest fan of, but then I feel like the relationship and the connection evolved in a natural way that didn't feel too tropey. So far, I think I've landed on a 3.75 rating. I honestly can't remember the last time it feels like I've read a book this fast, which technically I know I've read it in a few days, but what I mean by that is every time I was sitting down to read it, I was sat and reading. The only reason I think this wasn't quite a 4-star for me is because for the amount of challenges and difficulties that these characters are put through, I will say their love is unwavering. Sometimes it felt like no matter the limits and the lengths to which their relationship was being tested, there was never any resentment or never any negative emotion in their relationship towards one another, and obviously that's probably because this is a very optimistic romance, but I think part of me would have almost appreciated seeing them overcome a challenge and a difficulty that was more internal to their relationship as opposed to only external circumstances, if that makes sense. I feel like it sounds like I almost wanted the characters to suffer more, which is not what I'm trying to say. I just think, circumstances aside, obviously the actual dynamic and outlook of the two characters on their relationship was always very optimistic when it seemed doomed from the start. But I think that's why I'm happy the book ended the way it did. Even though it was a little bit storybooky, I think I wouldn't have been satisfied with any other ending. Those are my thoughts and my review for Say You'll Remember Me. Let me know what other of Abby Jimenez's books I should read next, because I definitely want to add some to my TBR. And on that note, that is where I'm going to wrap up today's reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed. I definitely had such a fun time bringing you along with me, and it feels so good to be filming a reading vlog again. Having completed 3 books now, I feel like I'm back in the groove of reading again, and I'm just excited to keep going and to get closer to my reading goal because I still have some catching up to do. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. As always, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!